Welcome back to another episode of the Even Your Dynasty Show. On today's episode, we're going to just ask the question on whether or not Patrick Bailey should have to earn the starting job coming out of spring training, or if he should just be handed the job and guaranteed the starting job come opening day. Now, before everyone storms the comments and sharpens their pitchforks and lights their torches, I'm not pushing for any one player to start. I'm not making this episode to push Joey Bart on everyone. I'm not making this to push Tom Murphy on everyone. It's just to kind of ask a question and examine where it stands as of right now. It's March 13th. There's 2 weeks still till opening day. A lot can happen there. And Patrick Bailey absolutely deserved to have the inside track to the job coming into spring. And I would love for him to come out, hit the ball in the next 2 weeks, and make this entire discussion irrelevant. I like Patrick Bailey. I love his defense. His bat just leaves a lot to be desired. So I'm just here to bear the question and kind of take a look. I'm going to be comparing him to Bart at times. That does not mean I am trying to push Bart on everyone. So please keep that in mind. So to start off, let's just take a look at what Patrick Bailey did in last season. Now, he did have overall numbers were not completely awful, but did struggle at the plate. Overall in the season, hit 233, had a it was a 644 OPS, and a 78 WRC plus. Now, that means he was 22% worse than league average at the plate, which that's where the struggles were. Now, defensively, there's no question he's a major league catcher defensively. Like that's not even remotely in question. 13 defensive runs saved. He's in the 100th percentile on framing. His pop times in the 95th percentile. His caught stealing above averages in the 98th percentile. The one massive glaring hole in his game is his blocks above average is in the 9th percentile. That's because he employs the one knee down technique, which limits your ability to laterally block in behind the plate. Like that's just a proven fact. You're not going to be able to cover as much ground laterally when one knee is on the ground when the pitch is being thrown, which requires him to try and pick more balls, which means more balls are going to get by. It helps your pop time. I completely hate it as a technique with runners on base. I value the extra bases more than trying to occasionally get that runner. That's me. I'll get off my I'll get off my soapbox here, but that's where he stands currently. Defensively last season, made 13 errors, had 8 passed balls. Now, this is just for comparison's sake. Joey Bart in his entire career, 12 errors, 7 passed balls. Not saying Joey Bart's a better catcher. Patrick Bailey, defensively, Patrick Bailey is clearly the better catcher. He's also plays it in a very arrogant style, which is not a bad thing. I actually like that out of him. I like how aggressive he is throwing. Now, he went into a weird funk last year where he threw a ton of balls away trying to catch stealers, but he also is going to make some of those splash plays that are really exciting. For example, when he threw out, I think it was Perdomo on the Diamondbacks where he picked him off first base to end the game against Arizona. He threw out some of the best base stealers in baseball, Elly De La Cruz in a game, Starling Marte in one where I think it was the Mets announcer that said it was the fastest pop time he's ever seen in his entire career. So it's very clear that it's not a question of whether or not he can do it at the major league level, defensively. Like that's very clear. If he was their starter opening day, he's probably going to be the favorite to win the Gold Glove. So that's not where I'm going with this. Now, the issue is this is a lineup that is probably going to be bottom third in baseball. Maybe a little better than that. Might be bottom half of baseball. Even with the additions of Lee and Soler and Chapman. I'm not confident that this is going to end up being a lineup that could withstand to have a guy that is a complete liability at the plate. So, and where I'm going with this is last season, Patrick Bailey, I'm going to give his numbers on his first 33 games. His first 33 games in the majors. This is May and June because he got called up May 19th through the end of June. He was hit 322, had 10 doubles, 5 home runs, 4 walks, 33 strikeouts. That's good for a 322 average, 345 on base percentage, 539 slugging. It's an 884 OPS. The walk rate was 3.4%. K percentage was 27.7%. His last 64 games, he went 32 for 211, 8 doubles, 2 home runs, 17 walks, 65 Ks. That's good for a 152 average, a 215 or 215 on base, 218 slugging, and a 433 OPS. His walk rate was 7.5%. His K percentage was 28.5. That is unplayable in the offensive standpoint. And I know a lot of people want to say, his legs got tired and he wore down. And then I've seen the concussion argument. The concussion didn't happen until September. This started in July. This is not he just went in a weird funk. Like, yes, he completely fell apart at the plate. And it's a bit of a double standard that he's being held to, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's fine. He'll figure it out and he'll hit. Well, where is that energy with a guy like Casey Schmidt, who has drawn comparisons to the guy that's actually going to be starting for the Giants at third base, Matt Chapman, defensively at third base? But people don't believe his bat will come around, and he went through a similar funk for a long period of time at the major league level. Now, I'm not saying these guys can't figure it out, but there's a large portion of fans that are pushing for guys like Schmidt, Luciano, even Luis Matos, who I think is really making a push and has shown already at the minor league level he can hit. He showed at the major league level that he wasn't overwhelmed and could hit, and is showing it again in spring training. There's a lot of these guys, or a lot of people that are pushing these guys, saying, well, they need more time in Sacramento to learn how to hit. No one is saying that about Patrick Bailey. Everyone is just saying, oh, the defense is great. It's fine. And at the end of the day, I wonder are we going to ruin this guy offensively by throwing him out there when he's clearly overmatched right now, over giving him a little more time in Sacramento where he can learn and improve and then get called up, a little bit into the season. I'm not saying send him down there and let him rot for the whole year. Just he needs to show something offensively. So that's kind of where I was going with that. I struggle with seeing that. And then I see him coming into spring. It is very early. There's a lot of time. He can get hot, like I said, for a couple weeks, and no one's going to think twice. You're going to DFA Joey Bart. We're going to move on. Everyone's going to be happy. And I'll love watching him, hopefully win a ton of Gold Gloves. But right now he's 2 for 11. He has drawn 4 walks. I'll give him credit. But he's 2 for 11. And he does have a home run. Now, he ambushed a guy that was in high A on a first pitch fastball when the guy came in relatively cold with the bases loaded. Like, I'm not trying to talk down on it, but he got a meatball and he crushed it on a first pitch off a guy in high A. So we have to take it kind of for what it is. So he is struggling at the plate. Now, he did also just injure his hand yesterday, where he took a foul ball off it, which that's a separate problem. I don't know why you're not protecting your hand. It's something you're taught as far back as Little League as a catcher, that your hand should always be protected. But that's, again, a separate issue. So now this is where I'm going to go with this. All I've ever heard for 2 years is how terrible Joey Bart was in 2022. And I'm not here to make an argument that he was good. That is not at all where I'm going with this. There's been a discussion that he was just awful. And there's also a discussion of how amazing Patrick Bailey was last season. So now we're going to go ahead and do a direct comparison to what these guys did. Now, this is offense. The defense, again, it's very clear that Patrick Bailey is the better defender. But offensively, they both played 97 games. Patrick Bailey had more plate appearances, 353 versus Bart's 291. Patrick Bailey did have more hits, 76 versus 56 for Bart. Bart had more home runs, 11 versus 7. Patrick Bailey, more RBIs. Stolen bases, I don't care. They're catchers. Patrick Bailey had a higher batting average, hit 233 to Bart's 215. On base percentage, Bart had a 296 versus Bailey's 285. Slugging, Bart had a 364 versus Bailey's 359. OPS, Bart was 660 versus 644 for Patrick Bailey. And OPS plus was 87 versus 77 for Patrick Bailey. I prefer WRC plus. It factors in park factors and things like that. Joey Bart was a 92 versus a 78 for Patrick Bailey. So Bart was still 8% worse than league average, but that's closer to a league average bat. Patrick Bailey was 78. So he was 22% worse. So he was relative to league average, still 14% worse than Joey Bart was offensively. So where I'm going with all this is, do I think Patrick Bailey did enough to just be handed the job? And for me personally, this is just my opinion, I don't think he did. I think that he should still have to come into camp, have some urgency, have to at least show something offensively. It doesn't mean he has to outplay Tom Murphy and Joey Bart. It just means he needs to show some life with the bat and show that he's not completely overmatched. And right now, that's what he's still kind of showing. He's kind of building off of what he did the last 3 months last season. So now, do I think Joey Bart's going to suddenly be a 475 hitter, which is what he's doing in spring? No, I don't at all. Do I think he's suddenly going to be, having no strikeout issues or anything like that? No, I don't think it's fair to think like he's going to suddenly be a guy that only strikes out 20% of the time and is an elite offensive player. But my main thing is I want someone that's going to go earn the starting job, and Bailey isn't doing that yet. Joey Bart is doing more to earn the job right now than Patrick Bailey. But again, there's 2 weeks. A lot can happen. I'm not sitting here saying he should start right now. So if Bailey does get everything going, start him, DFA Bart, move on. If Bart continues to do what he's doing and Bailey never gets going at all with the bat between now and the start of the regular season, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in the world to have Joey Bart be your starting catcher going into the season. I'm not saying give him some super long leash. You can give him a month. You can wait till Bailey is forcing the issue in Sacramento. It gives him time. It also gives you time to kind of rebound Bart's value a little bit if Bart does get going, because there are a couple scenarios that could play out. If Bart realizes his offensive potential, you suddenly have a really good offensive catcher that's going to have a ton of value. If Bailey gets hot and Bart flames out, again, you just DFA him, you bring Bailey up. Bailey had a little more time to, get, improve and develop in Sacramento, and you're fine. If they both, now there's always this scenario where if they both take off, now you have a really good problem on your hands. You have 2 very good catchers and both will have value, and you can then make the decision on who you want to keep, who you want to trade, or, maybe Joey Bart can go learn to play first base or something like that. There's a lot that you could do going forward. So, like I said, I'm not here to push one guy over the other. I just wanted to put my thoughts out there, kind of get the debate a little bit going. I did post the poll in the community. We had 20 of you guys voted on it. For what it's worth, 12 said that he should still have to earn it. 8 said that he should just be handed the job. It was just kind of, I just was curious to see what people thought there. Not, I don't think there's I don't know if there's necessarily a right or wrong answer to this, but it's just something, this is just my opinion on how it is. And everybody else, obviously, I would love to hear the feedback in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys all think. If you like this, subscribe to the channel. As always, I appreciate, talking baseball with everyone and having these debates. And until next time, we will catch you later.